Just imagine if you could take the tremolo and reverb out of a Fender amp and put it in a pedal format like the Strymon Flint, but keep it all analog and use a real spring. Well, that's what Crazy Tube Circuits say they've done with this, the White Whale version 2 analog reverb and tremolo. And in this review video, I am of course going to put that claim to the test, compare it to the Fender and the Strymon, open it up and see if there really is a spring inside, and hopefully get some great sounds out of it. Here's the first one. Yeah, so this is one of those pedals that you can just dive into and swim around in and not need or want to come up for air for a long, long time. And in fact, I love Fender amps, not just for their clean sounds, but also the reverb and tremolo in that is so gorgeous. And the White Whale version 2 so far really does sort of fill that spot for me. And the reason I'm using it with the Katana Artist is that one of the weak points of the Katana amps is the reverbs for me. They're not quite as springy as they could be. And with the White Whale version 2, I seem to have fixed that because that was a gorgeous sound. Right, let's talk about what the knobs and switches do. We've got quite a lot going on here, but it's quite easy to understand because on this side is the reverb and on that side is the tremolo. So let's do reverb first. We've got mix, so all this way should be dry. It is, and then that should be 50-50. Should be all reverb? Well, I don't actually know the mix ratio, but that's the most you can get. It's pretty wet. Right, with the volume knob, you can actually boost the signal and you can drive the reverb spring even harder, giving you this nice little springy overdrive. So it's important to note that's not the mix, that's a volume boosting the reverb. Then in the middle, we've got a switch, long, short, or medium, giving us the length of the reverb. With the dwell knob, we're talking drip and decay, essential in any spring reverb, and this affects the strength of the signal going into the power amp that is driving that spring in there. And then of course, tone is how dark or how bright that reverb is. By the way, this is a 1954 reissue 70th anniversary Strat from Fender. I thought it was the ideal guitar for this, but I will be changing it up in a little bit and also putting some P90s and humbuckers through it and some fuzz and distortion. But let's get some sounds from the reverb side just to explore the variety of reverb on tap. Let's drop that mix down to somewhere sensible, about there. And tone we'll put in the middle and dwell we'll put in the middle as well. So everything's in the middle, and this is the dry signal, like clean tone. So there's a slight boost there. I'm going to leave it on. Let's check out the difference between the long, short, and medium. Now, there isn't a long, a medium, and short spring in there. What's happening is the long setting is the spring, and then for medium and short, that spring sound is being filtered to think that it's, medium or short. It's basically fooling itself. What a clever little pedal. Right, let's explore that dwell. I'm going to put it back on long, actually. Now, because there's a real spring in there, we're getting really drippy tones. So, real spring in a pedal That should already convince you. If you're into spring reverbs, this one absolutely has to be on your list. I'm done with that. I think that's worth the price of admission. But let's check out the tremolo side. This is where things get not just fun, but also beautiful. If you've used a tremolo before, you might recognize intensity and speed, but the White Whale version 2 also has a volume, which I think is absolutely necessary on any tremolo pedal. Let's mess around with these three and see what it gives us. Right, not sure what I should be playing, but let's put that in the middle. That's lovely. Let's max it, see what happens. Now we find out if it does the helicopter sound. It's not quite chopping, but we are in, what is it? We're in tube tremolo modes. There are 3 tremolo modes in this. We've got tube, optical, and harmonic. Let's find out if either of those do the helicopter sound. Let's find the difference. Now that might not be very musical, but I wanted to demonstrate the actual tonal differences we're getting. One more time. And now we can even affect the harmonic tremolo with this switch, which is on soft at the moment. Let's make it hard. Apologies to your ears, that really isn't musical, but I wanted to show you the differences between the sound. Oh, and the final thing, I guess, is with both on, we can now tell the pedal whether we want the tremolo after the reverb, post, or pre. So let's switch between those two. I'll find some other chord to play. Now, when you put the tremolo into the reverb, you have that sense of space. But if you put the reverb into the tremolo, you're also chopping that reverb, which is really fun. So I guess that's what you want if you want the helicopter sound. I'm going to do my top 5 tones. So I'm going to switch around guitars, I'm going to switch around amps, and then we'll get on to the test between the Strymon and the Fender amp, which I'm really looking forward to. Right, top 5 tones. Let's do P90s and fuzz with the Constellation, also from Crazy Tube Circuits, and the Baum Guitars Carve Vega. That's really chewy and squelchy and chomping at those notes. But if I was really doing black keys, I'd probably bring it down on the intensity just a bit. That's fun. As I've got the fuzz out, let's go full helicopter. There we go. I was trying to go behind the bridge for behind the bridge noises. There isn't one. It's just the single thing on this one. Let's do one more with some humbuckers, of course. That's good fun as well. I'm into the helicopter sounds from Tremolo, but don't worry, it's not going to be all a helicopter. What was interesting about putting the humbuckers in was as soon as I plugged that in at the volume it was before, which was about there, it was driving the pedal. And it's not the amp. Well, it's a combination of the tremolo and the amp. But the point is the drive was coming from that extra volume boost on the amp, and I have humbuckers here. Right, it's time to put this up against the Strymon Flint and the Fender Deluxe Reverb.
A few moments later.
Setting that up took quite a long time, about 20 minutes, which is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, to get something that I think is close enough to have a true comparison. And what I will say is they're not all the same, but I thought it would be fun if I did an ABC test with a looper and not tell you which one is which. So you're going to hear the same thing 3 times, and try and guess which one is the White Whale version 2, which one is the Strymon Flint, and which one is the authentic Fender Deluxe Reverb. So, do you think you know which one is which? If you want to play life on hard mode and get 117 Guitar Geek points, pause the video, go to the comments section, and then write which one you think is which before you get the answer. Okay, pause now. Right, I'm going to guess about 50% of you are going to not pause and then write the comment and say that you did pause. So, number 1 was the White Whale version 2. So if you said that, you are correct. Number 2 was the Strymon Flint. So if you said that, you were correct, which means number 3 was the Fender Deluxe Reverb on all the different reverb and tremolo settings. And they're not the same. I did spend quite some time trying to get them in the same ballpark. And if you did get it right, congratulations, well done. If you didn't, it doesn't matter. But go back and have another listen now that you know the answer, and then you can write your comment and pretend that you did. But I like the White Whale version 2. It's nice and open and almost hi-fi. The Strymon Flint is old now, and it is still one of my favorite pedals, but I don't think it's as good as the White Whale version 2. I think there's some sort of, it's not clipping, but it's like a digital sort of clicking sort of sound on the tremolo that is not on the White Whale. And then the Fender Deluxe Reverb, I love that amp, and I think I could probably pick out my amp from a number of different amps, because this one has a couple of quirks about it, and the volume certainly drops on the reverb and tremolo, or on the tremolo on this, and that doesn't have that option on the amp to boost the tremolo. The reverb I think I prefer on the amp. It's bigger, and it's just bigger. But on the White Whale, they're trying to fit that huge spring into a tiny box, and the Flint reverb is amazingly good for digital. So I think they all have their strong points. I think if I had to pick a pedal or an amp, the White Whale would sound best in a mix. The Strymon Flint would be possibly the most reliable, thinking, no springs inside to fail or to fall out or to break. And then the Fender Deluxe Reverb is, of course, a tube amp which could explode at any moment. But I have said the White Whale sounds great in a mix. I know this because I made a backing track with it, and you can hear that backing track now. I know I'm biased, but I think that sounds brilliant, and it was really, really fun to play. And if you'd like to play along with that backing track, it's available on the Play Better Backing Tracks YouTube channel. There's a link in the video description. I'll also put a card up there, but don't go there yet, all right? Because I haven't finished talking about the White Whale version 2. There's some more features that I haven't yet covered. You may have noticed there are some extra sockets on the back. We've got an expression pedal input for the reverb, an expression pedal input for the trem, and a remote input for the whole thing. Crazy Tube circuits also have an optional remote here, which is the same color and same graphic as the White Whale version 2, but you don't need it because it's compatible with any 2-button foot switch. You could use one of these, the thing that cost about, I don't know, 15 euros, and it was controlling the reverb and tremolo on the amp. But the reason you might want one of these or one of those is so that you can put the White Whale in the effects loop of your amp and then control it on and off with the remote. So you don't have to go 4-cable, back and forth. You just have a TRS cable to your pedal board and a remote, or one of these cheaper ones. But that's nice and tiny and hella good looking. Here's my Boss EV30 expression pedal, and let's put that into the tremolo expression pedal socket. Put that there. And then if I play something, this is going to adjust the speed. So you can see the LED getting slower and faster. In fact, that should be off. Let's give this a go. The speed, by the way, sets the range of the expression pedal. So let's have that at a maximum range. That's off completely. It sounds like my cat. Wow. Okay, the intensity you have to set yourself. So if you just want something subtle. Right, what else? Yes, the expression pedal socket on this is also a tap tempo, but you have to open up the pedal and then switch it from expression to tap, meaning that you can tap the speed of your tremolo, which is extremely useful, and it's a feature that I was going to say I wish the White Whale version 2 had, because I didn't realize it did that when I was messing about with it the other day. And then I read the manual, and yeah, tap tempo on a tremolo, brilliant. Let's move over to the reverb. Where's the socket? Come on, baby. There it is. Right, the reverb, this is going to adjust the mix. So let's turn the tremolo off. And then we've got no reverb. Again, it's the range of the mix. So maximum mix is going to then have max on the expression. Now, I did say I was going to open it up, so let's do that now. I want to have a look at the springs inside, see what's going on, maybe have a look at that tempo and expression switch as well. Okay, here we go. Ooh! Oh, wow, look at that. There is the tank in there. Accutronics and Baritone. Amazing. Right, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, but there it is. I expected two springs to be visible in here. It isn't. It's in that little tank. There's a little switch to go from XP to tap. Yeah, I feel a little bit disappointed that I can't actually see the springs, but they are in there. Reverb crash. Careful of your ears now. That's something you can't do with a Strymon. You can kick it and make that Reverb Tank crash sound. I mean, you can do that with the amp. Hang on, that one. But not. Come on, Reverb. Yeah, got it in the end. It's on the other side. No, it's too much crashing for one video. But yeah, you get the idea. You can make the white whale crash. Oh, that was on as well. You might have noticed that I've been saying White Whale version 2 all the way through this video because yes, there was a version 1. It was red. I never played it, but I often saw it. And the difference between version 2 and version 1 is that this one has 3 reverbs instead of 2, and the power amp has more headroom. In fact, it's got 2 or 3 times more output, meaning you can drive the spring a little bit harder. Also, the tremolo now has the addition of the harmonic tremolo, which version 1 didn't. If you've got version 1 already, does that mean you need to upgrade? Only you can decide. If you have neither, you might just want to go for version 2, or pick up a bargain on version 1 for people that are upgrading. Right, let's take it off the board and summarize this review. The White Whale original was based on the Strymon Flint, and Chris at Crazy Tube Circuits wondered if he could do a Flint but all analog. And then, of course, we've got this, version 2. Now, version 2 of the Flint will cost you €409. This is version 1, by the way. Crazy Tube Circuits White Whale version 2 is going to cost you €349. Cheaper than the Flint. Doesn't have MIDI in this, but it is all analog, and it's much more hands-on than the Flint, and you've got those volume controls that the Flint doesn't have. What I will say is that this feels more fun than the Flint, and it's more in the sort of fun range of the Fender amp. So it feels closer to the amp than the Flint does, because I don't think I ever would have made that surf track with the Flint. That this I tend to stick to John Mary bluesy, you know, that stuff, the bluesy stuff. With this, it's more naughty. There's more anarchy in this pedal, and it's more fun. So that's my final word. Thank you to Crazy Tube Circuits for sending the White Whale version 2 out for a review. If you enjoyed the video and you want more from me, there is a subscribe button up there. I always want to know what you think, so leave me a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!